one of the things that I really want to talk about is what's actually happening in Pakistan right now. Now, I know I've spoken about it previously, and I did say that Pakistan is on the brink of collapse. And that wasn't an exaggeration. We knew that the situation was very precarious, and that's happened again. Now, those of you who don't know, I'll just give you a quick rundown. I did make a detailed video previously on this as well, and I think if I have a screenshot, you can actually look it up, Pakistan on the brink. I think that's the title of the video. So those of you who know, Charlie Hebdo decided to publish some cartoons of Prophet Muhammad. That didn't go down very well with Muslims for obvious reasons. And then there were demonstrations, protests all across the world. And then there was a terrorist attack in Paris and Charlie Hebdo offices. I think that was in 2015, I believe. 5 years later, then the trial resumed. Some more suspects were added in the list. Charlie Hebdo, to commemorate those who had died in the original Paris terrorist attacks, they decided to republish the cartoons in 2020. Again, there was a little terrorist attack by a Pakistani there, and then those cartoons were shown in a classroom by a French teacher named Samuel Paty, and a Muslim student saw that, told his or her parents, I think it was a female student, told her parents. He went to a local mosque, and they gave the details of this teacher, Samuel Paty, some Chechen, I think it was a Chechen Muslim who saw that, took it upon himself, followed and stalked Samuel Paty and beheaded him. As a result, French President Emmanuel Macron decided to show solidarity by showing the same Charlie Hebdo cartoons on government buildings. Now, again, that did not go down very well with the Muslim world, especially Pakistan. And we've been seeing that for some reason. Now, why other Muslim countries like Malaysia, like Indonesia, like Iran, Saudi Arabia, why don't they react the way Pakistan does? Because unlike Iran and Saudi Arabia, Pakistan is actually not a theocracy. It's a proto-democracy blended in with some remnants of Anglo-Saxon British parliamentarian democracy. But then on the other hand, since the 80s, since the first Afghan war, there's been an Islamization in Pakistan. And now Pakistan is so Islamized that some people suggest that up to 70% of Pakistanis are Barelvi, which is a version of Islam which literally believe and behead those who insult the Prophet. So 70% of Pakistanis, and that number has gradually increased, and they have become more and more radical over the years since the 80s. Now we are on a verge of this takeover. So one particular Islamist organization, TLP, which is a representative of 70% of Pakistanis' faith, Barelvi Islam, they demanded that French ambassador must be expelled. This is again in the wake of Emmanuel Macron showing those cartoons. Pakistan government said we can't do that. Why? Because we can't run the economy. We have the GSP plus status. If we expel the French ambassador, so Germans and the whole European Union will follow. And Pakistan's largest trading partner or export partner is the European Union, so we can't do that. And then again, protests erupted, and I covered that. This happened back in 2020. Mysteriously, then leader Khadim Rizvi, you might have seen that guy. Mysteriously, he died. He was organizing these protests, and he was saying that we're going to march towards the capital. Mysteriously, under mysterious circumstances, he died. Government in secret made a pact with them, and they said, give us until April 2021. We will sort something out. 7 months elapsed, and come March or I think it was March or April 2021, nothing had happened because Pakistan can't expel them, and these guys came out. I covered that extensively, and this is the video I made. Pakistan on the brink. Pakistan arrested now. Khadim Rizvi's son, Saad Rizvi, took the reins and he became the leader. Pakistan arrested him, arrested hundreds of TLP workers, and there were some clashes. It looked like as if Pakistan was going to be taken over. So Pakistan will be taken over, but that didn't happen. Again, Pakistan government made some secret deals with them and said, bought some more time, 6 more months. 6 months later, now, this is what's happening right now in Pakistan. Even a bigger number of people have turned up, and they are beating up the police. These are the images that you can see. These people are marching towards Pakistan. The numbers are literally in hundreds of thousands. Some people are saying nearly 10 million. I don't know. Could be exaggeration. But this is not just one little convoy of people. These similar numbers have erupted pretty much everywhere in Pakistan, especially in the province of Punjab. And then they're marching towards Islamabad, which is the northern part of Punjab. These are some of the clips that you can see. Even in Kashmir, this is Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The Pakistan calls Free Kashmir, and even there, which are historically Pakistan is used as a propaganda against Indian-held Kashmir, and even they are chanting against Pakistani establishment, Pakistan government. Why? Because Islam is one thing that they have historically used against India, but now they can't use that against Pakistan. They can't use that against their own people. These are footages. They are beating up, they're destroying these cars that are blasphemous cars. They're cursing the government, they're cursing the Pakistan military, everything. So this is Pakistan is on the cusp of a military takeover. Imran Khan's latest statement just came out, and he said that TLP actions have boosted the morale of other terrorist outfits, because basically what Pakistan is trying to do, they're trying to establish, they're trying to establish the writ of the state, saying that these people can't dictate the foreign policy of Pakistan. Foreign policy of Pakistan is made by the Pakistan military or Pakistan establishment, or so-called Pakistan democratically elected leader, but that's not happening. Those of you who don't like police, this is some footage. These guys are definitely, we can't see them. These guys are the lovers of the Prophet, and they're beating up police officers in the streets. So it's absolute chaos everywhere. Everywhere you look at, these kind of scenes are emerging from everywhere. What the latest development is that Pakistan establishment, I keep saying establishment. Those of you Western audience don't understand this. Pakistan establishment, by that we refer Pakistan military, because that is the apex governing or the most powerful, or you want to call, in other countries you call it deep state, but our deep state is not really that deep. It's actually pretty much on the surface level, and everyone knows that the real power lies in the hands of the Pakistani military. Sometimes they manipulate the general elections. Sometimes they choose who wins these elections. Either that's Imran Khan's party or Nawaz Sharif's party or Laid Benazir's Bhutto's party. So all of these things are determined by the military to some extent. And that's why often we see clashes between the democratically elected parties and the military establishment. So Pakistan's establishment is trying its best, and Imran Khan's government has called on Pakistan military, Rangers, paramilitary forces to come and rescue them. And they have surrounded the capital, and they have put up boards that if you cross this red line, then we would be forced to shoot you. Now, it's a game of chess. It's a poker game being played right now. These guys have immense numbers, highly charged up workers who believe that they are doing the right thing. They are trying to defend the honor of the Prophet. And on the other hand, the military, the Pakistan establishment and the government, they know that, they live in the 21st century. But again, the blame lies with them. Since the 80s, they've been sowing these seeds of Islamization, the love for the Prophet. Yes, we are willing to die for our Prophet, but sorry, we can't expel the French ambassador. So this is a clear contradiction in their worldview. And this is why the ordinary people are now confused. They say, well, you are willing to die to defend the honor of the Prophet. Then how come you can't expel the French ambassador? So confused narratives, confused states, confused and shaky foundations end up as where Pakistan is right now. So military is guarding the capital. Military has said that we will shoot you, but the clerics and the radicals also know that they have huge numbers on the side. How many military will shoot down? if there are 100 people die, then would military back down? Because it's quite likely. Because military is also accused by ordinary people now that because of you, we have Imran Khan as prime minister. Any popularity Imran Khan had, he is at his absolute lowest right now, because again, if it's Islam and Imran Khan, nobody cares about Imran Khan. They will throw him under the bus, and even the military. So this is a very serious situation. However, the latest development is, and I'll wrap it up and I'll go to Nuria and take your comment as well. They have secretly in the last 6 hours, apparently they have come to an agreement, and they haven't made it public yet. So we'll know in the next few hours what the agreement is. They have revised the TLP, the radicals. They have revised their demands. They have said 3 demands: release our leader, Saad Rizvi, son of late Khadim Rizvi, release all of our workers, because Pakistan government had been rounding up thousands of these workers to avoid this situation again, because they knew 6 months ago that that's going to happen, and it has happened, and they failed. And the third demand is to delist them from the terrorist organization list, because TLP contested last general elections. So Pakistan also tried to bring them in the fold of in the political fold. So in that way, you could mold them, you could teach them something. But no, they won't operate like the Taliban. So these are the 3 demands. Government is saying that we can't really release all those people because there are legitimate court cases against them. So what do we do? So there's a deadlock. So we don't know what has been decided. One thing is for certain, that even if, like last time, Pakistan manages to send them back home and secures itself from a violent Islamic takeover, kind of like the one we saw in Afghanistan more recently and previously in Iran, if Pakistan is successful in avoiding that, the question, $1 million question, is for how long they're going to keep doing this, because this Frankenstein monster has been created by Pakistan, and it's been exacerbated by Imran Khan's government. He's been Islamizing Pakistan. He's been messing up with the curriculum of Pakistani textbooks and Pakistani education system. He just a couple of weeks ago, to score these points, he launched week-long celebrations to commemorate the birth of the Prophet. All of those things, he's been doing that to score these points. But again, Pakistan is Islamized so much that they know that the version of Islam people like Imran Khan try to propagate is a stuff of fairy tales, because real Prophet had a totally different character, and these people are buying that. They know that because they're listening it from the actual clerics, not like Imran Khan, who doesn't know anything about Islam himself. So how long are they going to keep dodging that? They might escape again, but is it going to happen again 6 months later? Because these guys are not happy. They want to impose Sharia law in Pakistan. And then it's anybody's guess. The world could afford Taliban at the helm in Afghanistan, but the world cannot afford Taliban at the helm of Pakistan. So that is the full situation, full position that Pakistan is in right now. Even if they manage to dodge it, it might not last very long. Nuria, how are you seeing all of this?
Yeah, to be honest, I think I'm really, like, my opinions are exactly similar to yours in that sense. I just want to reiterate the fact that I think you tweeted something about the chickens coming home to roost, and that's literally how we're seeing this play out. Like, Pakistan, we always talk about this, but it's been shaky from its inception. And like you said, the constant Islamicization of Pakistan, and then Imran Khan with his kind of pseudo-Sufi version of Islam that he's promoting and also trying to bring back that love for the Prophet and show it on a mass scale. It's just reinforcing and reinvigorating these people who are then willing to die for it. And they're saying to him, essentially, put your money where your mouth is. And Pakistan, and again, Imran Khan being he does have to, he has to maintain a certain image on the international stage. He cannot be expelling the French ambassador. The other international ambassadors would, wrap up shop and leave as well. Pakistan's just not in a position to do that. Like you said, the GSP plus status as well is something they have to consider. But it's genuinely a really worrying situation where you see the country it is descending into chaos. And the saddest part looking in, I guess, from like as a bystander, and like I'm Pakistani, but I don't follow the news like constantly about Pakistan, because honestly, a couple of years ago, I was like, this country is a lost cause. Like, there's so much at play here that it's like this almost pseudo democracy, the Islamic theocracy that's also operating, and the military. All of these things are at loggerheads, and it's sad to see that sometimes Islam, the biggest casualties and the people who are most affected by this, are Muslims themselves. This is just turning into chaotic infighting almost on how far are you willing to go to defend the Prophet. And these people are just acting on their prerogative and what they believe is their genuine fundamental duty and right. And I don't think they can fathom why Imran Khan is not on the same page as them. And you have I think I read an article, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but honestly, this is what happens when you have a population that the majority are so impoverished, and they are so I think 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 Pakistani men are illiterate. And religion just gives them this weapon, and this kind of they're all part of this mass psychosis together, and they're all, they're coming out on the streets now. It's essentially mob justice. And who's getting affected by this? Well, they're affecting civilians' lives. They're not doing anything to help the situation. The country's descending into chaos economically. Politically, it's turning into a joke. So yeah, it's just they are the only people who are suffering from this are their own people. And the sooner that they realize that, the better, because I don't see how this country is going to progress or kind of become more of a player on the international stage until we can actually figure out where it is, where does the law come into play, what is Imran Khan's stance. Like, he needs to come out and be a true leader and say, you need to stop this chaos. Like, this is not the way that you go about making a point. And he said it himself, he's only invigorating more of these people to come out. Look at their numbers, and none of this is peaceful. They're literally halting cities, they're stopping civilians from being able to get, teachers aren't able to get into schools because of these roadblocks that they're putting on. But yeah, I think you've summed it up pretty well, to be honest. It's just there's so many factors at play, and it's so chaotic. In all of these factors coming together are just causing the country to go off balance. And it is sad because, look, this is pure chaos. And obviously what's happening in neighboring Afghanistan is it's just like a foreshadowing what could happen in Pakistan if these people were to get enough power. And like you said, we have the establishment, so the military is always there. But again, what's the alternative? We're going to see a military dictator in the next few years trying to put a stop to this. People have genuinely lost faith in Imran Khan. He's isolating people who even kind of saw him as a defender, as a global Muslim progressive leader. He's isolating them slowly. These people are turning towards the TLP and claiming that they're their rightful leaders. So yeah, it's absolute chaos.
Right. I just want to play this video for everyone, and I just want to show you how problematic this whole situation is. If you isn't this scary? Have a listen to this, and what they're chanting. Anyone who insults a prophet must be killed. Just listen to this, and these people are in kind of a trance. The way they are singing and dancing to it. Just have a look, and this should send shivers down anyone's spine. What I was saying that is, have a look at this. I mean, this should send shivers down spines of anyone. That's such a large number of people literally believe in that. As I said, Pakistan, the world could afford Afghanistan having Taliban controlling their affairs, but they can't really afford Pakistan. Why? It's a much bigger country, has nuclear weapons, has a very strong military. This is going to be more difficult than controlling Egypt after the revolution, Libya after the revolution, this tiny Syrian civil war that's been going on, Iraq. This is going to be the granddaddy of all of them. So the situation is very, very critical. I do have a feeling that Pakistan might manage to get out of this again, but for how long? Unless they set the course straight.